So what if the photography rules that you've been following are actually the reasons your photos haven't been getting any better? You see, a lot of advice out there, it sounds really helpful, but it's secretly holding you back. Now, I've been shooting for over a decade, I've worked professionally for years, and trust me, my friend, I've believed every single one of these myths. I mean, I pretty much made the mistake, I've tried the shortcuts, and I've learned the hard way. So today, my friend, I'm gonna help you skip all of that and finally start making the photos that you're truly proud of. Starting with, of course, myth number 1. Alright, so I know that this one might ruffle some feathers, but let's talk about manual mode. In my humble Icelandic opinion, then somewhere along the way, full manual became kind of this badge of honor. I've gotten comments when I'm out shooting to myself being like, oh, okay, so you're using, aperture priority.
That's cute.
Now, here's the thing. Shooting in full manual mode, it doesn't make you any more of a real photographer. It just means that you're doing everything yourself. And in my opinion, it's not always smart. In fact, in fast changing condition, it can be downright stupid. And don't twist my words here, my friends, like you often like to do on YouTube. I'm not saying that manual mode sucks. I mean, it is awesome and it has its time and place where it's absolutely superior. No questions about it. But here's a little Icelandic truth for you. Manual mode, it's a tool and not a flex. I mean, if it helps you get the shot, that's absolutely amazing. But if it slows you down, makes you overthink, or causes you to miss the moment, then brother, and of course sister, I'm not forgetting you, although my analytics say 90% is males watching this channel, but if it causes you to miss the moment, then it's hurting you. You see, most of the professionals that I know use aperture priority 73% of the time because they're focusing on what actually matters: composition, light, and timing. Basically, let the camera handle your exposure and you can focus on making the image. What I'm trying to say here and drive home is that shoot with intention and not your ego. Now, when you're in aperture priority or even shutter priority, you're not giving up control. You're just telling the camera what to prioritize. And if the image is too bright or too dark, use the exposure composition dial on your camera. In my opinion, this is kind of like nudging the autopilot on a new car. You're still the pilot, it's just you're a little bit smarter with your energy. Make sense? Either way, try this. Next time you're out shooting, set your camera to aperture priority, then use the exposure composition to dial in the look that you want, and notice, my friend, how fast and freer you actually shoot. You will move around like a ninja in the landscape, be like brr, 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 brr. That's at least how I am, Anywho, there's another trap that's just as common and honestly even harder to shake. And chances are, my friend, that you might be doing it. And that, of course, brings us to myth number 2. This is 4 fingers. I mean 2 with 2 only. 1, 2. Now, the truth is that we've all felt it. That moment when you're looking at someone's insane shot and just thinking, man, if I only had this, camera or their camera. And I know that I keep saying this again and again and again. And in my opinion, a $5,000 camera in the wrong hands, it still produces boring photos. But a $500 camera, when used with intention, it makes magic, or it can make magic. It's probably a better use of words here. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that gear is just a tool. It does not compose the shot. It does not find the light. It does not tell the story either. That is you who do that, my friend. I mean, you can kind of think of it like a kitchen. A pro chef makes incredible meal with whatever is in the fridge because he knows or she knows what they are doing and what to do with it. A beginner like myself could be handed a Michelin star kitchen and I would still burn that goddamn toast, It's I would not make good food for you there, my friend. Now, one thing I want to add here is that obviously better gear helps. And matter of fact, better gear is of course always better. We're talking higher image quality, more settings, better dynamic range, and all that good stuff. But the reason that I keep yapping about this like an old broken record is that because I genuinely believe that gear serves you way better once you actually know what you're doing and why. Otherwise, you're just buying more expensive confusion, Does this make sense to you? Anywho, here's something you can try out today to get better with what you have. Step 1, go shoot the same subject with different settings. wide open, stop down, high shutter speed, or even like low shutter speed. Step 2, and this is like super cool exercise to do as well, is to try like framing it in 5 different ways. We can talk about like tight frame, wide frame, off center, like high angle, low angle. You get the point of what I'm trying to say, you know? Anyway, one of my favorite photos was shot with a 10-year-old Sony a6300. I used Sony's 10 to 18mm f4, and you know what? Nobody cares. And like another one of my favorite shots was captured with an used a6400, and again, nobody cared, because what people actually respond to is mood, composition, story, and then of course emotion. So before you upgrade your gear, upgrade your ability to capture better photos. Then, my friend, upgrade your gear. You understand? Not the other way around. So yeah, better gears, it obviously helps. It's like sick and it's awesome. But in my opinion, it is that once you know like what to do with it. But even with the best camera in the world, your photos will still fall flat if you don't get this next part right. And to make matters a little bit more complicated, it's actually one of the biggest lies we've all been sold. But before we dive into the next myth, then just a quick shout out to today's sponsors, Artlist, which if you've like been around my channel, you know that I've been using them for years. You see, that's where I get like all of my music, sound effects, templates, plugins, and even occasional stock footage from like the times where I need to like do quick turnarounds. However, the reason I keep like coming back to them year after year is because they like keep always improving their platform. And I don't know if you've seen, but the newest update, it's kind of wild. So they've just launched this like new AI video generation tool, and it's pretty damn sick. Basically, just type in a prompt and it creates an entire video clip for you. And one of the coolest parts, at least like in my Icelandic opinion, is that it works in any language. I just typed in a prompt in my mother tongue, hit generate, and boom, it worked like magic. Absolutely crazy. But here's in my opinion where it gets like even more fun. You can upload your own photo and it will generate a video from that photo. That's in my opinion mind-blowing, and it makes the possibilities kind of endless, and I feel like I'm living in the future. Anyway, if you're a content creator or a freelancer and you want to save like hours of time or generate ideas faster, this tool is genuinely worth checking it out. As always, there's a link in the description down below. It gives you 2 months extra of a year subscription plus a little kickback to me, which helps support the channel. So big thanks for that. And another big thanks to Artlist for making tools that actually help us create and for supporting this video. All right, so back to the myths, and we were at myth number 3. So golden hour is of course like beautiful. Soft light, warm tones, and everything just looks like magic. But here's the thing, relying like only on golden hour, that's kind of like cooking with just salt. You know, you're like missing a whole range of flavors. You see, when we get into photography, I feel like we're kind of sold this idea that the best photos only happen during like golden hour. And don't get me wrong here, golden hour, it's absolutely goated. But here's the truth, great photos can happen in any light as long as you like know what you are looking for. For example, when it's midday sun, then you can use harsh shadows to your advantage to create contrast and that bold look. When it's totally overcast, that's perfect for portraits and those muted street scenes. Or when you're out in the landscape, you just have beautiful light all over the place. And when it's rainy or foggy, that's just free atmosphere and mood, my friend. Everything just becomes so like freaking cool when it's rainy and muted, or like rainy and foggy. So you might be sitting here wondering, that's cool, but how do we actually harness these conditions? Well, if you're shooting in harsh midday light, then in my opinion, you can lean into that contrast. What I mean by that is that you can use those deep shadows and bright highlights to create some dramatic graphic look. Or you can find these pockets of light and place your subject there, and that's just sick. And they're everywhere if you know what to look for. Now you might be wondering then, but what when it's overcast? That's portrait heaven, amigo. I have no idea why I went Spanish on you right now. But clouds, they act like massive diffusers. And you'll get this beautiful soft light. It's like here in the studio, I have a big diffuser up here. That's the same what the clouds does. And for landscape photography, that kind of sky, it can like be gold for post-production, because you can, with editing, pull out some serious amount of drama into the clouds. However, knowing this, it's cool and all, but the next myth, I really hope, my friend, That's not something that you're doing. So, myth number 4. This one, it comes like straight out of the photography purist starter pack. And I know I'm just going to get a few comments here on this video for sure. But here's the thing. Cropping, like when you're cropping post-production, it's like not cheating. It's just composing later. Now, bear with me here a second. In a perfect world, of course, like you nail the frame the moment that you hit the shutter. And obviously, like trying your best to compose your photos in camera when you're out in like the field, it's of course ideal. Of course. But in like real world scenarios, things they move fast and moments they tend to be pretty messy. Sometimes you're in the wrong spot. Other times you just don't notice that there's a distraction in the corner until you come post-production and later on. Or some other crazy things that happen because life is always moving like this. Maybe it's not for you, but in my head, it's just like, what is happening? Just quiet down. Anyway, in my opinion, that's where cropping comes in. You see, like cropping, it lets you refine the shot. It also helps you bring focus, clarity, and intention to your images. And you know, even like the legends did it. For instance, Henry Carter Bresson, and I'm sorry, brother, if I'm slaughtering your name, rest in peace, you legend, but he was like the godfather of decision moment street photography, and even he used to crop in his photos a ton. And like, I don't know about you, but if it's like good enough for him, then I mean, just come on. It's definitely like good enough for me. And even nowadays, you don't just have to crop in. You can actually too crop out. And I know this is a pretty touchy subject for the photo purist, but hear me out. You see, sometimes the subject, it's kind of is like slightly off. And then of course I can crop in, but I don't want to lose the wide frame that I have. So what do I do then? Well, I use generative AI to extend the shot. Boom, I said that. Yes, I use it a lot. I mean, I use it like more often than you can think, and you guys don't even notice. I know. Cheeky. Anyway, here's a simple practical way that you can start like using the cropping tool like a pro. So, number 1, when you're reviewing your images, you can flip through them and then open up the like crop tool, and don't just ask yourself, is this photo like good? Ask yourself, is there a better photo or a better frame hidden inside of it? Basically, that means that you can try like going tighter. You can even try shifting the composition a little bit. You can also like cut out the distractions and basically try to emphasize the story that you see. In my experience of like this decade of being obsessed with photography, I've noticed that sometimes small crop turns a decent photo into something that just really hits. And like we said earlier, cropping out with AI, it's also an option now. Even if you hate it or love it, it's still something that you can do. And in my opinion, when it comes to art, then do and use whatever tool that helps you tell the story and helps you get your vision out to the world. This is your art and you're free to do, my friend, whatever you want. And the more you can just stop thinking about what other people think and you start to bring out what's in your head to the world, that's, in my opinion, when everything like kind of clicks and you go like, you know what? I'm just gonna do this because I think this looks crazy and cool. And that's cool. That's like how these weird artists think, and they're creating something pretty fucking sick, you know, and unique. But here's the thing. All of this like still won't work if you are chasing the wrong thing. Now, this next myth, it might sound harsh, but it is one of the biggest lessons I've personally learned over the years. And I think, with a big think, or I know that it will like also change the way that you think forever. Pretty like bold claim, but let's go. Myth number 5. Now, in my experience, this one, it hits a lot of nerves for beginners, and I get it. When you're starting out, sharpness, it feels like a proof that you are doing things right. But my friend, let me say this as clearly as I can. A sharp photo, it isn't always a better photo. In fact, some of the most emotional and powerful images that I ever seen, they weren't like tack sharp at all. They were like imperfect, but a little soft maybe. But the thing that they had in common was that they all had a soul. And you don't have to believe in soul, but your Icelandic man, he does believe. Nah, I don't know if I believe in a soul, but you understand what I'm trying to say. And here is like my Icelandic truth. Sharpness, it's a technical quality, but impact, that's like emotional, my friend. And sometimes these like two things, they don't go hand in hand. And I don't know, this is like just some bro science on my part, but maybe this is the reason why film photography has been blowing so much up again for the last few years, because in like perfection, that's what makes photos beautiful. Meanwhile, these newer cameras that they're using, they're just so good. But that's also the reason why they are like so good and we love them. Does this make sense to you? Anyway, what I'm trying to drive home here is that motion blur, it can add energy, and like shallow focus, it can add a bunch of intimacy and softness. That like super soft look, it like feels really dreamy and nostalgic. I mean, we're even trying to recreate it all the time when we're editing photos. So I'm like shooting with expensive cameras, with expensive glass, taking it in Lightroom, and then I'm softening it up because it's too sharp. And the thing is, I've seen like plenty of photos that are like technically flawless and like perfect, but they are boring as hell. Now, again, don't twist my words here, my dear YouTube friends. I've also seen pixel perfect images that were like absolutely godlike, like next level tier shit that I will never be able to recreate. Or I will. Never say never, my friend. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that like perfection, it isn't always the point. Now, here's the thing. Most photographers, they stop at, fixing these myths. But that's, in my opinion, a huge mistake, because the next step, that's, at least in my opinion, where the real growth happens. And I will cover it in depth in this video right here.